And we're live one more time, folks. We are here at the One Stop Shop with Mario Quintero for the One Stop Shop Happy Hour. And Mario, we've had a lot of fun talking about real estate and mortgage and all types of matters relating to making your dreams come true and helping people. But today we have a topic that is really equally as important. And folks, if you're tuning in, go ahead and pay attention to this. If you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and share this with a friend or a family member. Share with everybody you can, because what Mario's going to explain today is really, really key, and it is important. It's not necessarily a happy hour topic, but nonetheless, it's a very important topic. Mario, what is a power of attorney?
So the first document we're going to talk about today is a power of attorney. Very important document, especially if you have parents or you have children. A power of attorney has to be very specific, and I just want to let everybody know I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney. I'm going to share a lot of personal information today about me and my family, also about different client situations that have occurred. Okay, so I'm coming from that perspective. I'm not giving legal advice, so I want to make sure that everybody understands that. But these topics are extremely important, and everybody that owns any type of asset, a home, really needs to pay attention to these things. And a lot of times, people just avoid this topic.
Sure.
Because it deals with what happens if somebody becomes incapacitated or dies. Okay.
It's a topic that few people want to talk about, but everybody at some point is going to face.
Right. So a power attorney is very important because it actually names the people that could serve on behalf of someone that becomes incapacitated either physically or mentally. And the thing that we have found about power attorneys in the course of the last many years is they have to be written by an attorney that understands how specific the power of attorney needs to be. So if it's intended to be able for the person who is the power of attorney, that person, it needs to state whether it's for real estate transactions, for mortgage transactions, for banking transactions, for handling insurance matters. It has to be specific to all the items that power of attorney is going to be able to handle, either for their parents or for someone else.
So this is not one of those documents that you want to go on the internet online,
No.
do a copy and just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Office Depot and buy this off the shelf. It's very important that it's done properly.
Has to be customized and detailed to the individual and whatever properties and whatever is that matter, really.
Correct. And the person that is having this done for them, okay, for example, Claudia, my wife, is my power of attorney.
Okay.
I am her power of attorney in the event something were to happen. Our daughter could be power of attorney in second position for either one of us if one of us was missing.
Okay.
So that's how specific it has to be, and it has to be for many things. So you do not want to buy this off the shelf at Office Depot or Office Max, and it's a very important document to have.
Folks, as you can see, we want to invite you to share this broadcast. This is some important topics and important items that need to be discussed and addressed, and we're here today with Mario Quintero. If you're just tuning in, my name is Andy within South Florida, and we're addressing some topics that have to be addressed, Mario. You know, Mario, talk to us a little bit about medical decisions and living wills.
So a living will is the next document that is very important. Personally, just so everybody knows, I had to use my parents' living will when, unfortunately, 6.5 years ago, my brothers and I and my sister, we made the decision on the day that we had to make the decision to pull the plug on my mother. And fortunately, we had that living will that my parents had done for that day, if that day ever came. And after discussing with my brothers and sisters that morning, I met with the doctors, and even though they wanted to do a bunch of other procedures, the family decided that it was time for her not to suffer no more. Her attending physician was a school friend of mine, and he said, Mario, we will never be able to return her to quality of life.
Right.
And we decided to pull the plug, and within 24 hours she had passed away. That is an important document, and in our personal case it was even more important, because if we didn't have that document, the hospital would have kept her alive and kept doing procedures against our will.
Exactly.
Okay, and since my dad was already into his dementia, he was not capable of making any decisions for her. So the living wills that my parents had were used by us, not only for my mom at that time, but today we use them for my dad in case of any medical decisions. Very important document. I know people don't like to talk about this stuff, but I got to tell you, when you're in that ICU and you got to make that decision, you need to have these documents in hand.
There are choices that are tough to make, and we probably have some of you watching now that you might watch and say, I don't want to hear this, but let's face it. I mean, these are important decisions that we all have to face in life, and important paperwork that has to be done and has to be filed properly. So, besides the power of attorney, Mario, and living wills, what happens? What happens with the distribution of assets, probate? I mean, that seems so confusing.
So, usually most people have at least a will, okay? As a minimum. If you have a will basically explains how the assets of that individual or that couple are going to be distributed amongst the heirs. And so what happens is that will need to go to probate in order for the court to certify that distribution can occur. Okay? Normally, in most families, the biggest asset that has to be transferred is the home. And what happens? The children will need to either sell the home or they'll need to refinance the home. So one of the documents that we talk to all our clients about that have a will in order to avoid probate is a document called an enhanced life estate deed. It also goes under the name of Ladybird deed, and you could Google that at your leisure. Okay? What that document does, it avoids the cost and the time for the heirs to have to go to probate to be able to sell the home. All right? I recently sold 3 homes for the heirs of my clients that I did mortgages for back in 2008. I had suggested this to all 3 families. Unfortunately, they didn't follow through. It cost us 6 months of probate and approximately $8,000 to each heir.
Wow.
Okay, to be able to have the right to sell the property. If they would have done the enhanced life estate deed when we suggested that years prior, it would have been under $500. And then when they did pass, we would have filed that enhanced life estate deed with a death certificate, and the heirs would have been given rights to sell the property right away. So that's why these documents are so important, because they could either get stuck in court or be very expensive to the heirs.
Mario, for those of us that are watching, and some people may have a question, what's probate? Can you just cover that real brief?
Probate is one of the court systems in the state of Florida that handles these type of matters. Again, if you have specific questions about the legalities of probate, I suggest very highly that you speak to an attorney. We're going to be interviewing an attorney in the next couple of weeks, which very close friend of mine who specializes in probate and estate planning. His name is Peter Arice, great attorney. In the past, we've used Eli Pinnell personally several years ago out of the Doral area. I saw that Eli is watching today. You know, these are specialists. These are attorneys that specialize in probate matters, wills, trusts, deeds, power of attorneys. They know how to write them the right way, and they know how to do it in a manner that the family doesn't get stuck. I've seen many situations where they've gone to a notary, you know, on Flagler, and they told them, put a POA together for me. And they notarized it and they went on. And then when we needed to use it, we couldn't use it.
Didn't use it.
And with all these documents, it's important that they are done while the individual that owns the assets is cognizant and clear of mind.
Of course, of course.
Because in some matters, if the documents were not prepared and certified at least a year before they went into some kind of mental incapacity or physical incapacity, they're not going to be valid.
Wow. A lot of good nuggets of information there. I want to welcome Karen. I want to welcome Lourdes. A whole lot of people have been tuning into the broadcast. Folks, if you're just tuning in with us live, we invite you to view it from the beginning. This is the one-stop shop happy hour with Mario Quintero, the man of Quintero, but today we're addressing serious topics that really need to be discussed, because you know, it's not just getting into your dream home and enjoying life and the family, but you know, what happens to the dream home in case of, and in case of is a reality for all of us. Mario, let's talk about trusts a little bit. I mean, trust is a word that gets tossed around, and just give us some info on that.
So with a trust, you really need to speak to an attorney, but there is revocable and there's irrevocable trust. I'm not going to get into the details of both.
And we want to express again, Mario, you are not an attorney.
Right. And I'm not giving legal advice today. I'm just sharing stories.
Exactly.
Okay. And the thing with a trust, and once again, I go back to my personal situation, you know, when you have young children, what a trust helps you to do is to, in detail, put in writing how you want that child cared for in the event that something happened to you and your spouse. Okay. It really spells it out, the assets, who will take care of the assets, will you have a trustee, who that trustee will be, who will make your decisions on behalf of the children. All of those things that you want to be able to have control over the way that you want it. I remember when Claudia and I started to work on our trust, it took a little bit over a year, because every time we got to certain parts, emotionally, it affected her, thinking that, you know, we wouldn't be around for our daughter. But you know what? It had to do, and I appreciate her and her persistence till we finally got it done. And, you know, getting the trust done, the POAs, the living wills, the will, and getting that entire package done, which Eli Pinnell, the attorney out of Doral, he's the one that handled all of that for us. It took over a year. And you know what? The day we were leaving Eli's office, we almost got hit by a cement truck. As we were leaving the parking lot, that was doing 50 miles an hour and ran a red light. So, you know, we don't know. We don't know how things will turn out, and that's why this type of planning, especially, you know, if you have some bank accounts, if you own a home, maybe you own a home and an investment property, you have life insurance, all these things, if you want them to be properly distributed to your assets, regardless of, you know, only God knows when we're going to leave, and whether we're going to leave one or two at the same time. I mean, you know, again, it's not a topic that's a fun topic, but it's reality. And that's one of the reasons when I chose this topic for today, I knew it's not going to be, you know, a sexy topic, but it's something that from an information perspective, especially in the real estate and finance business, these things are all very important.
You know, as I'm going through this list, you know, one of the things that this solves, besides just having everything down very clear and written down, is family issues, family arguments, and brothers and cousins and people that come out of the woodwork, and that takes an emotional toll on top of whatever occurred. You know, so with all this in place, it's like it's black and white.
It's black and white, and it's the other thing is that, in one of the personal cases that I was involved in last year, anytime you make changes to these documents, especially when someone is being removed from one of these documents
Right.
for whatever reason, you need to pay the extra money, which is maybe $25 to $50, for that attorney to notify that person that is being removed from the
Important.
documents,
Very important.
because you don't want these documents to be challenged in the future. And that's what happened to a case that we had on the sale of a property where the person was mad at his children and nephew, and he took them out of 3 different wills over time and left his caretakers on as the heirs. Well, I sold the house, I put the sold sign on. Next thing I know, I'm getting a call from an attorney saying that I needed to stop the sale because the documents we had were going to be challenged. And it took 9 months and about $160,000 in legal fees from both sides,
Wow.
which evaporated the majority of the equity that the intended heirs did not receive. And they ended up with $13,000 apiece because the person saved $25 from the letters going out by an attorney.
So this is one of those turbulences that you talked about in one of your previous videos and live stream.
Yes.
These are one of the things to look out for, that for $25, $50 you're able to resolve. By the way, speaking of turbulences, I want to bring attention, marioshomenews.com. You see the page on the back. If you want to learn more about real estate and mortgage and just tap into the mind of Mario Quintero, as we've been calling this series, there's a whole segment on turbulences that he calls, and that's a great example of one of those turbulences that can become a very expensive thing and kind of throw a wrench into this home selling, home buying issue here. So Mario, we talked about the paperwork. It's hard to talk about, but let's talk about something that everybody hopefully has, and that is life insurance. How does that work in case?
So with life insurance, if you're the policyholder, you want to make sure that your beneficiaries and your alternate beneficiaries are always up to date. Okay? And a lot of times, most people may have a meeting with their insurance agent once a year, and at that time, it's a real good time to identify and review who the beneficiaries are.
Important.
It's very important. I mean, sometimes you buy life insurance when your kids are young. Now you're reviewing them when they're off to college.
Right.
You want to make sure that those beneficiaries are up to date.
And life happens. Life happens. People change. I mean, it's a good policy just to be sure that every year or so.
Every year you should check that out.
It is on point. Bank accounts.
So bank accounts is another one that, you go to the bank and you could name a beneficiary and an alternate beneficiary. In the event you become incapacitated, and you're an adult and you want your children to be able, in the event something happens, that
Right.
they can basically go to the bank and do things on your account, you could specify with the bank what is allowed on that account by your beneficiary and your alternate beneficiary. Very important, because God forbid something happens to you and your children then have to wait for that account to be probated,
Right.
okay, in order for you to access the funds.
That places a hold.
That also includes a safety deposit box. You cannot access that safety deposit box while the probate is going on until the court orders
Right.
that it's okay for you to go there.
So a whole lot of wrenches can appear if things are not done properly.
Correct. And today's session is basically to explain some of them,
Right.
so that people can just rethink where they are, because a lot of these things can impact both a real estate or a mortgage transaction.
So guardianship and court directed because somebody is incapacitated. I mean, this is stuff that can happen if everything above has not been done.
That's correct. If none of these things have been done, okay, and the person becomes mentally or physically incapacitated.
At that point, we have a problem.
Right, and I like to talk about two different levels of people. First, you have the people that are like our parents.
Okay.
They become incapacitated mentally, dementia, physically, a disabling physical disease, and in order for us not have to go into a guardianship situation where the court is the one that's making all the decisions for that person, you need to have all these things in place. Okay? I also have clients that have children, adult children, that are in their 20s and 30s that are incapacitated for life. Okay? You need to have these documents in place, and possibly in that case even a guardianship, because if you have an adult child that is not going to be able to fend for themselves, you need to do the proper planning now, so that the day that you're no longer around, that you've pre-decided
Right.
how that adult child is going to be taken care of. You know, I have a situation like that right now, one of my clients, where I've been after her for 2 years now. She's a single mom. She's probably late 70s, early 80s, and she has an adult child that's about 38 years old that has nobody else but her.
Wow.
And he has certain mental inefficiencies.
Right.
And I keep telling her, look, you need to do a guardianship. You need to spell it out how you want this done. And unfortunately, whether she doesn't want to face the situation, or maybe there's a financial burden involved that she doesn't want to spend the money right now, but that's going to be a problem. If something happens to her, that adult person that cannot fend for themselves is going to have a problem.
And in a case, in something like that, just going with the example you just gave, if there's no planning in place, there's no paperwork, there's nothing that has been planned out, thought about, and scheduled, what happens then? What happens then? I mean, we live in a country with laws, and you know, what happens to that individual?
So what happens is that the court will take over, the guardianship court will take over and make all the decisions for that individual.
So in other words, the government is now in place.
The government will make all the decisions for that individual, place them where the government feels that they need to be, with who they need to be, and who's going to care for that person. So if you don't want to be in that situation, or place an adult child that may need special services or special treatment the day that you're no longer around, now is the time to do something, because that home, your assets, and everything else will be controlled by the court, and you won't have a say in the matter.
So plan your future so that the government does not plan it on your behalf.
So that's a quote that my friend, attorney Peter Reese, which we're going to interview in a couple of weeks, estate and planning attorney, that's one of his favorite quotes.
Very important.
Plan your future so that the government doesn't plan it for you.
Folks, we see a lot of people tuning in. Shelly, welcome. We got Dee over here. By the way, if you have any questions, we are live. You can type those into the chat now. And even though Mario is not an attorney, we need to make that clear.
Correct.
But Mario has a lot of experience, has dealt with a lot of cases, as you have seen, and he can just give you a comment, even though you need to refer to your attorney to be able to get professional legal advice. So
yeah, and if you need a good estate and a probate attorney, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, Peter Reese, Eli Pennell, very good people and very experienced at what they do. And I've used them both personally for me and my family.
Mario, today's topic was not fun. I gotta tell you that it was not fun. It was not our usual happy hour, but nonetheless, it was very important.
That's correct.
And I'm sure that some people are watching and tuning in saying, maybe I need to make some phone calls, and maybe I need to have a talk with my significant other, and maybe have a family type reunion. You know, make it a little fun, but actually address topics that you heard today that need to be addressed.
this topic is one of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's one of adult responsibility. I personally rather be at a sporting event. I'd rather be at a party, at a
Right.
barbecue grill, and not even think about this.
Right.
However, I'm glad that my family, it started with my parents. They did what they had to do to take care of all of this. It set the example for the children. We have done everything we've had to do in regards to these documents.
Right.
And you go to sleep at night with a clear head. You're not worried. God forbid something happens. What's going to happen to our daughter? Whether it's my sister and her kids or my brother and their kids, everyone has taken the action. And it's all about action. And it's not easy action, and nobody wants to spend the money really to do this. But you know what? It's not as expensive as some people might think it is. And if you have assets, like I said, a home, maybe an investment property, you got insurance policies, you got a 401k,
Anything
all
that
of
you
those
own.
things are
Anything you own,
assets
yeah.
that need to be clearly identified by the owner of the assets on how they want them distributed in the unlikely event that something bad would have happened.
And I'm always happy-go-lucky, folks, and those of you that know me and have seen me, but in reality, Mario, what we have is we have now. We have today.
We have today.
Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. We have yesterday, which is history, and that's, to borrow from a quote, that's why tomorrow is called a gift. Because every morning when you get up in the morning and you're able to open your eyes, that's a gift.
That's a gift.
That's a gift, and you need to be able to give the gift of security and peace and to your children and your significant others. That's a gift as well. And by taking these steps that you've outlined, that is a gift that is kind of very, very important.
Yes, it is. And again, as we start closing down this session, feel free to share this to your Facebook friends,
Absolutely.
to your LinkedIn friends, because you never know who you're going to help.
Absolutely.
By having them listen to this information, because we all need it. We all need to have it. You work very hard to build a nest egg, to buy a home, maintain a home, maybe one or two investment properties. You don't want the government be the one to make the decision on your behalf on how that's all going to be distributed the day that you're not here.
Especially when we have options.
Yes.
We have options now. Folks, again, we want to invite you to marioshomenews.com. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's an awesome website. There's a video gallery there where you're going to be able to see this video within a couple of hours. Plus, you're also going to see a bunch of videos that Mario has produced on different topics. You'll see a bunch of live streams. And Mario, more important, the testimonial section is growing there.
It's starting to grow.
The testimonial section is growing.
We're starting this week. We started Testimonial Tuesday. In fact, can I just do the little calendar here?
Absolutely.
So Mondays is Mortgage Monday.
Uh-huh.
Tuesday, testimonials. We're going to put up some testimonials of our current and past clients.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesdays is our referral partners. This week we had my friend Fernando Mondragon, Pest Control. Thursdays is the happy hour with you.
Happy hour.
Great time. I really look forward to this every Thursday. And then Friday is going to be Real Estate Friday. So either a video or some time of specific real estate information. And then Saturday and Sunday, if I post anything, it'll be personal. A cookout, something I'm doing Saturday.
I see that you're getting a love for this live streaming thing here. That you're beginning to enjoy that direct communication, contact, and engagement here with your friends and clients and everything else.
Well, I got to tell you, this is not my comfort zone. This took a lot of getting
Me
myself.
neither, Mario. I'm very shy.
Yeah, this took a lot of getting used to and really taking the plunge. But I'm glad I'm doing it because I know it's helping a lot of people. I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting emails, I'm getting text messages. So I know it's helping people with information that it's the only way to get it out there now.
And people, you have to understand that this is by no means any type of advertising or anything. This is real. We're live here, and the testimonials that you're seeing on Mario's Home News are not paid actors. These are actual clients that have engaged in a business, a financial transaction with Mario, either buying a home, selling a home, doing the financing. And just go ahead and keep an eye on that because that's going to continue to grow. And if you're watching and thinking, you know, there's a lot of realtors out there, who do I choose? All these ads, all these postcards coming to my house, who do I choose? I got one tip for you guys. Don't choose a realtor based on what the realtor tells you. Choose a realtor by what their customers tell you.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, some of our customers are a little shy. They're very private. They don't want to shoot the video. Right. It happened to me last Friday with another family, but that's okay. We respect people's privacy, and we're not going to force anybody into do it. But I've got a schedule already where I'm going to be going to some of my past clients' account.
Oh boy!
To their homes.
Oh boy!
And they know who they are because I've already been in touch with them, and just want to get their feedback on how the whole process that we handled, either their listing or their mortgage financing, so that we could share it with everybody else on marioshomenews.com.
And I know there's a lot of people that are camera shy. Me, for example, you know, I'm a little camera shy. But Mario, you've done so many deals and you have so many clients in your history in the market that you have no issues getting a long list of testimonials that are going to be soon appearing.
Telling stories about different client situations without mentioning their names.
Right.
Like the story today about the probate situation.
Of course.
It took 9 months. So these are all stories I got in my memory bank that I would like to share so that other people don't have to go through that pain.
I call this the Mind of Quintero. The Mind of Quintero Live, the one-stop shop, folks. You want to learn more, check out marioshomenews.com. Check out the video gallery there, and check out the 8 or 10 live streams that we have on there now. And you're going to learn a lot about the real estate market, learn a lot about how a proper mortgage and financial transaction is done. Because this guy here, he's the real deal. Thank you for the love, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Any closing words there on your fans?
Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Next Thursday, the one-stop shop happy hour returns. And we'll see you guys all then. If you're watching this, hit share. The button down there says share. Share this on your network and spread the love.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great seeing you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.